Hi guys, I'm Lauren Scarry. I am an ASL 2 student, and I'm here to help you figure out what to do and your options if you have a deaf child. So I think the four main subjects I'm going to be talking about today are hearing devices, language used, education, and the deaf culture. So I think we're going to start off with hearing devices. There are two main hearing devices that you can use. Cochlear implants and hearing aids. Now, hearing aids help the majority of people with mild to moderate hearing loss. They do not help everyone. And hearing aids are used to amplify sound, so they do not fix your hearing. Cochlear implants are surgically implanted. They have an internal and an external component to it. So the internal is surgically implanted and through your inner ear, and the external sits behind your ear and is connected by a magnet. Now, the cochlear implant does help a lot with hearing, but it is not the same as normal hearing. It sounds like a robotic voice, and some of it you can't even hear. So, like, certain frequencies are not available. Now, the cochlear implant price exceeds $40,000 sometimes. It can be lower, can be higher. With the hearing aids, the price is only $4,000 to $5,000, and this is all depending on where you live, what type of device. Do you want a really high end? Do you want more moderate? It really depends. Now, health insurance does cover hearing aids and cochlear implants, and you just have to talk with your health insurance provider and see what they do and what they will insure and everything. To be considered for a cochlear implant, though, you do have to receive an evaluation by a physician. So you just have to make plans to figure all that out. Now, I think we're going to move on to language used. So there are two languages that you can go teach your child. Either you could do ASL or you could do the oral method. ASL is just as it sounds, American Sign Language. That's kind of considered the manual method. You can either teach them full ASL, you could teach them ASL in English word order. There's all kinds of things that you can do with that. Then there is the oral method. So the oral method is when you do not use any ASL and it's only speaking. So they would have to get a hearing device, and then they would have to learn how to talk. And usually with that, it's a little bit harder. Some people do better, some people don't. It really just depends on your child. With ASL, you do have to take classes. You, not the child. You have to figure out, how am I going to communicate? So if you do choose ASL, then you're going to have to learn ASL. So the child then can, from when she or he is born, can learn ASL, it being their first language. ASL is actually a very common method. It's the fourth. What was it? It was like the fourth language most used in the United States, so it's very popular. And there's quite a bit of deaf communities within the United States. Then the oral method, it is used quite a bit. Usually hearing parents use it with a deaf child. And it does work and it doesn't work. So it really just depends on your child again. So just talk with your doctor, but also, research your options fully. So hopefully this video will help. So then, if you do want to take ASL classes, there are classes available in Virginia, in Fairfax. The beginner classes start at $150. I found actually a class for $150. And after beginner classes, conversational, and that's about $120. So just, look at your options and see what you want to do and what fits best for you and your family, and figure it out. So Now the cons of ASL, you have to find interpreters. If you want to go to a mainstream school, you have to pay for a residential school, or you have to figure out some way to educate your child, because they can't go to a public school and be taught with hearing kids, because then they won't understand. The pros of ASL are, you know, they will be able to learn in school without having a chance of falling behind in their education. They could be with peers just like him or her, and you won't have to use expensive technology because you won't need it in order to have your child succeed with ASL. The pros of oral are they interact, you know, with the hearing world a little bit better, but not by much. They can go to public school just like any hearing kid. But the cons are they have a chance of falling behind in school. They can't interact with peers that are like them, and they may feel separated from their family, and they are separated from the deaf community because the deaf community looks down upon having a hearing aid or device. So let's move on to education. So education, there are several options for education, and I love this. So there's residential school, which is just like a boarding school except for the deaf kids. Then there's deaf day school, which is just like a public school except everything is taught in ASL. Then there are the mainstream options, which are going to school with a hearing device, going to school with an interpreter, or having a self-contained class, which is your student would then go to a public school and be in a class for all of her or his core subjects, and it would be taught entirely in ASL. So, deaf day schools, I think they're my favorite, but they are hard to do because there are only so many within the United States. And I actually did find a couple up in Maryland, and there's one in DC, which those will be down in the description. Now, the costs of those schools. So if you go to a mainstream school with an interpreter, the interpreter is paid for. So that education option is completely free. But then if you go with you know, a cochlear implant or a hearing aid, it's just the cost of those devices. Public school is obviously free. Residential school, it's just like a boarding school. You have to pay for it. So it's about $87,000, give or take. And it depends on the school, depends on the state, depends on you know where you are and everything. Deaf day schools, they are free, but you have to live in the area. So it would just be the cost of, if it's not near you, moving. Now we're going to move on to deaf culture. So the deaf culture is a very collective culture, and they want to know everything about you, and they want to know, you know, why you're doing this or why you're doing that. And it's very important to be involved, especially when your child is deaf. So in the description, I actually put several links for events happening in the deaf culture around DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Definitely take a look at those. Those are very important. There's fun things like cookouts and going to watch movies, but obviously the movies would have descriptions, and but it would be fun, I think. So you should definitely check those out. And then when you go, so you can fit in because you're hearing, just make sure you're respectful. You know, if you know ASL, use ASL. Don't speak English. Don't answer the phone when you're talking to someone, just like the hearing world. And just if they ask personal questions, just answer them. It's not, you know, it's their culture, so you want to be very respectful in it. To make sure your child's involved, go to everything in the beginning. Just do it. It's so much fun. It really is. And so if you just go, and your child will be more involved and have friends who are deaf as well. So if you go with the oral method, he wouldn't feel so isolated from the hearing world and the deaf world. And as they get older, they'll find events that they'll want to go to, so you won't have to work so hard to find events yourself. So just go have fun and do those events, and you'll fit in, and he'll fit in, and you guys will be fine. So I think we covered everything. If you have any questions, you can just post those in the comments. Oh, and for more of the deaf culture, there are definitely deaf chats all around. So just, if you Google deaf chats in your area, or usually they'll be posted in things like Starbucks or any other coffee shop. So just look around. I bet you'll find some. Those are fun. But I think that's everything. So have a good rest of the day or night, wherever you are. Yeah. All right. Bye.